Yo, so like I said, I never really give a good entrance because I kind of feel giving a good entrance is always too perfect, and we ain't perfect. We've never been perfect. We never will be. Today's a different situation. Um, I've kind of looked at this situation. I thought this will be interesting, but it's very serious. And I think the way that we should handle it should be with severity. If I had my way, certain people wouldn't be allowed to walk this earth. That isn't a threat. That is a promise. I believe that the severity of a situation like this has been ignored and has been kind of watered down and milked for whatever reasons. Um, with my guest today, I commend her for speaking about this. I think it's something that should be done, and I don't think it should stop here. I believe there should be more activists. I think there should be more corporations. I think there should be more charities. I think there should be more voices so that such things like this come to an end. But I believe that when things have not already been done, there are reasons. So when I speak, I don't speak because I believe that I'm some form of martyr. I speak because I believe I have a voice that's here to do what other people should be doing as well, and that's to speak up on situations. With that said, I'm going to introduce today's guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself. I'm going to try as best as possible to keep a neutral tone just because I think this is what it needs to be met with. And with that said, thank you for coming. Just to let you know that you are in a safe space. You are always welcome. And I know you have the people out there to support you if need be. I want you to express yourself in the best possible way. And remember, no one's perfect and we're not asking you to be. These are real life situations that need to be met with real life things. Just to let you know also, that is your camera. So when you want to hit the soul, you look dead in that person's eye and you say what you say. Otherwise, you can look and talk as freely as possible. So without further ado, thank you for coming today. You can introduce yourself. I never say your name. I never say any guest's name. I let them introduce themselves. That's the whole point of being you. So thank you for coming. And you are?
Oh, my name's Christina.
Do you want me to move the mic up so you don't feel like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we over there? We good with the sound? Perfect. All right, cool. Hi, Christina. Thank you for coming to the 12th, the podcast of real people. We don't talk about relationships and body counts here. We talk about real life matters, things that matter.
Yeah.
So today's topic is all about you and the effects it's had towards you and your loved ones. And what is today's topic?
The topic today is about a man that I know trying to groom my daughter online.
Okay. Groom, if you say groom,
Yeah.
is there an alternative word or more?
Pedophilia or nonsense, however you want to look at it.
So, when you say you know this person, how well do you know this person?
I wouldn't say it's like a best friend, but I've known him through friends for maybe 10 years or, yeah, for probably about 10 years. And I know him for a friend of a friend. And yeah, he's just a shady character.
What makes you say he's shady? What gives you this image of shadiness?
There's been a few things that he's done in the past. So before the incident that we've had now, there was another incident in the past where he had done something. That was the first encounter that I'd had with him.
And what do you mind me asking you what it was that he did that gave you I call it the cold breeze down your spine?
He opened up a fake account using his baby mum's photos and was trying to talk to me online, but in a sexual manner. and started sending his kids' mums pictures, nude pictures, to me in the hope that I would be attracted to her to have a threesome with them.
Wait. All right, cool. You can see how confusing that is, right? So I've got a terminology. Say we do. It's called idiot proof. Can you idiot proof that for me, please?
So basically, I opened up an account, like an Instagram account, using his baby mum's photos.
Okay.
Started talking to me
As
the baby mum,
as a female,
pretending to be the baby mum, just having a normal conversation. You know, as you do on Instagram, sometimes you see someone's profile, think they got a cool profile, start talking, and I already market my work, what I do and stuff like that. So I genuinely get a lot of women that come on, say, oh, I love what you do.
And just so that we don't get lost in that, what is it that, tell us a bit about yourself, and we'll come back to this, but what is it that you do that inspires women to contact you or reach out to you?
I'm actually a truck driver within the construction industry, and I work with stuff like construction machinery, diggers, dumpers, big stuff. I transport those, but aside from that, I empower other women to do what I do and to pave the way for future generations, because it's such a hard industry to be in. So I often get a lot of women that do want to generally speak to me, be friends with me, and so it wasn't anything out of the blue when she contacted me. And well, when I thought she contacted me, but it wasn't her. So after a little bit of time of speaking, it then progressed on to flirting.
As a woman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm straight.
Okay. That was the question that was coming next. Like, is there a reason he believed that talking to you as a woman was going to get any form of result?
Well, no, I'm straight. So
okay.
So obviously, when I wasn't giving into the advances, it then got more, and he started sending her nude photos.
For what purpose is that? I don't.
So what I came to finding out is somewhere along the line, me and the actual baby mum got talking. Okay. I don't know if I found her actual Instagram, because it was so long ago now. It was probably about 6 years ago. I don't know if I found her actual Instagram and messaged her and said, look, this account's been messaging me. And then she said to me, I know about this already. It's my baby father. And he does this to women. And it was an ongoing problem. And he does this to women in the hopes that they will be attracted to his partner, and they'll have a threesome.
So he can lure them in.
And they can he can lure them in to the relationship for a threesome, which the baby mum wasn't interested in, by the way. So not only is he sending out her photos without her knowledge, he's also trying to manipulate his baby mum into doing things that she doesn't want to do.
So when that situation happened, first of all, my opinion doesn't really matter in the situation, but I can see the grotesque and how you feel about the situation. That I can also, to some degree, see it as him just trying to fulfill a fantasy. I'm not on the fence, and I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate. Him just trying to fulfill a fantasy, even if it means...
I wouldn't say that. He's a predator.
Yep. Fine. We'll get on to why he is a predator, but we're giving a bit of context to the characters that he's displayed, which led on to you making a judgment of him, right? Which is fair enough. But I'm just calling it, at that time, I kind of thought he was just being scummy, trying to fulfill a fantasy, because probably that's what he's into. That doesn't make it okay, because his poor girlfriend or whoever he's partnering with is being exposed in many ways that are not even legal. Okay, so that was your kind of like first encounter with him, which obviously left a nasty taste in your mouth. And then what happened? Like, what now led to other situations that we're talking about now?
So probably a couple of months ago, probably about a month ago, my daughter came to me and said, "Mum, do you know this person?" And she showed me her Snapchat. And on the phone was a message from a Snapchat account that I knew, who was this same person.
The same person. And just for the context of, obviously, before we continue to go further, guys, there is a current situation or investigation going on, and all forms of particles and evidence have been submitted to the police. and are currently on your page as well, right?
Yeah, they're on my Instagram page.
Okay, cool.
So if anyone wants to see that.
Okay, we can continue. So what happened then?
So when she showed me the initial message, I knew something was wrong straight away because of who it was. If it was going to be anyone in the world to do something weird,
Why him?
it would be him. So then I was like, right, it could be a case of him not knowing it was her, or like I went through so many different scenarios in my head to say like maybe he got hacked, or maybe he doesn't realize she's only 13, even though he knows who my daughter is.
She knows.
He knows who my daughter is because
Why does he know?
The person that we was friends through, I used to date that person.
So he was an affiliate.
He was a friend
through
of someone that I used to date.
Okay.
Yeah, of an ex-person that I used to date. And he knows how old my daughter is. And he would often sometimes come across my pages and be like, "How are you and Kaya?" And I'd be like, "Fine," and keep it short and just leave it because I didn't want any problems, just like, "You're fine." So he knows who she is. He knows what she looks like. He knows it's my daughter. So she showed me the initial message, and I then took the phone and I took over the conversation.
What was the purpose of doing that?
Doing what?
At the time, taking over. What was your objective?
Because I wanted to see if he was actually a groomer. I wanted to see if he was actually a pedo. So I wanted to see if this was an accident or if he was being intentionally a nonce.
So just for the fact of, for people who do not know about this case, remember I said I know top, but I don't know depth.
Yeah.
For the record,
how
old is this gentleman or this predator?
I think maybe around 38.
38. And for the sake of this recording, how old is your daughter?
13.
13.
Yeah.
So there's a gap of, let's just say 20 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm not good with maths, so.
Same. That's why I drive trucks.
Yeah. No, you got a good job. Listen, you make more money than a lot of men, so there you go. Power to you. So, as you can see, the age gap is serious.
Yeah.
She's not even
huge.
legal.
Yeah.
So that's why you call it grooming or pedophilia.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If he's attracted to children, he's a pedophile.
There you go. So after now you have taken your daughter's phone, taken steering of the conversation that went on between this individual and your daughter, what happened next? What was your mission, and how did you quantify that he was the thing that you called him?
So the first message that he'd actually sent to my daughter said, "Yo, sexy," and on Snapchat now, I'm not very good with Snapchat. I'm too old. I don't really use it.
Yes, it's a younger thing.
But what I learned is that you can, when you make your avatar or your little emojis with your little faces and stuff, you can make your little picture. You can now add, when you're writing a conversation, you can now add your own emoji, but you can actually add the other person's as well. So the emoji or the avatar that he put in when he wrote his "Yo, sexy," he added a picture of my daughter, and it was a picture of my daughter in a bunny suit, and she honestly looked about 6 years old. It must have.
But is that the manipulation of the avatar, or is that something he put together?
It was her actual photo, but it goes into this like little emoji thing. I can't really explain.
I know what you're talking about.
But her face looks young. Anyone that goes to my Instagram and has a look at the photo, they will see she looks like a small child.
But what I'm trying to get at is, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to get at for the purpose of this recording is this something that he created himself, or is it just the avatar?
It's her avatar that she made.
Did he make it younger?
No, that's how old she looks in it. She actually looks like a small child.
Oh, so she did that deliberately and he used it.
And he used it, It's her actual photo and she's a small child. And he took it, put it in there and said, "Yo, sexy," with that picture of her as a child.
He said, "Yo, sexy."
Yo, sexy, or something along those lines,
That's strike number one. We're already past the strikes.
Yeah. So he already knows she's a child because he's attached her photo while saying "Yo, sexy." So the next thing I said was something like, "Yo, how are you?" And the conversation went on I need to get it up so I can have
Do
a
your
look at
thing.
it.
Listen, you got.
Let me just get it up because I want to have it word for word so no one can't say, oh, she lied. Right,
Just be
so
mindful. Like I said,
yeah,
for the Instagram purposes and whatever,
yeah,
you can say his name, but we
yeah.
will blur it out for YouTube because we want it
So I
to.
can't say his name on here, or no?
Yeah, of course you can. But like I said, production have told you
Blur it
before
out.
that we're gonna blur out certain
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Okay, so the first message that he said was yo, and then she said yo, and then he sent the picture and said, "Snap me, let me see your sexy self." Was this word for word is what he said to her?
Yeah, and you've got the screenshots on your phone right there in front
Yeah.
of you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So after that, he then went on to my daughter then asked, well, me as my daughter said, "How old are you?" He then replies,
So you posed that question to him.
"Yeah, how old are you?" That was the first thing I wanted to say. And he lied about his age and said 22.
But why does that make it any better? She's
No,
still
she's
13.
still 13, yeah. So he said 22 and he said you. So then I said 13. Doesn't it bother you
Of my age.
about my age? Because he continued to speak. He then went on to say, let me just play it. He then went on to, so because it's on Snapchat now, it's really hard to grab conversations because you can't
You have to screenshot it.
So you can't screenshot it because it will let you know. And you also can't screen record. So what you got to do is you got to go into another conversation, come out of that conversation and sort of half swipe onto the conversation
And screenshot it.
while you're doing a screen record. Yeah, so they can't see.
Oh, okay.
So she said she was 13 and I said, does it bother you? And he said, no. Does it bother you? And then she said, oh, well, we're just talking. And then he said, that's good then. Plus you move like you're older. So are you in college studying? So he's still trying to manipulate the conversation into saying that she's older when she's already told him
How old do you have to be in college again?
16. She's already said she's 13, yeah? So she said, I'm in school, yeah. And then they went on to, she went, because she kept going in and out, she was like, oh, my phone's broke, like trying to just keep up a conversation. And then at the end, he's like, send me a picture, snap me. So then she said, what sort of picture would you like? He says, surprise me. And then he also says, what type of picture do you want with the eyes? And I said, you send one first. I'm shy. And then he goes on to send in a video of him without his top. And then said, can you send one now? And then I said, I've got to go to school now. I'll do it later when I finish.
Wow.
And then left it like that.
And that's where you left it, yeah?
Yeah.
And just for the context of this recording and for the visuals, I've had not the pleasure, but I've had the back screen. I've seen the imagery. And let me just put it like this. As a man of his age or similar age, being what it is, there is no reason for any man to be sending, or anybody for that matter, to be sending a picture of himself to a person underage and without any form of, I guess it's without consent. So my mouth is even dry thinking about this situation, and I'm not normally even like this. I've heard some really weird things, but this, I mean, we can say what we want to say about it, but this by far is probably been one of the most confusing situation because I don't understand how someone thinks it's okay to do it. We will continue. I just want to kind of give off a little steam that's in my head. What really concerns me is, and while I'm listening to you talk, is the only thing that really screams out to me, but then it leads into a separate conversation, is mental health. Now, as a mother, you know, I know your first instincts are to protect your child.
Of course,
and so,
100%.
and rightly so. When you were doing what you're doing, that's the mother instinct. You're trying to cement as much evidence as possible to not make the wrong call.
Yeah,
because
course,
you want to be
because
sure.
I don't want to call someone out for being a paedophile if they're not. That's the first thing. I would never ever accuse anyone of such a heinous crime because that's what it is. I would never, ever say something like that about someone if I wasn't sure. That's the first thing.
And you do know that such accusations hold severe consequences.
Of course. And the second thing was that this was the most important thing as well. That man has children of his own. And I don't know what he does in the space of his own home while those doors are closed.
I would like to think, for the purpose of this conversation, let's not, my thoughts and prayers are with those who are around him, and I pray that they don't go through such a thing,
hopefully they
because it's even worse. They do say that charity begins at home, so sometimes people like this do start from home, and I just hope that justice prevails eventually when it does prevail. So you doing that now and, you know, getting what you got from that situation, how has it impacted yourself? But first and most importantly, how has it impacted your daughter?
Do you know what? I've got such a good relationship with my daughter. From a young age, I've always told her what's right, what's wrong, the signs to look for if something feels wrong. And I'm just quite fortunate that in this case and this scenario that happened, the first thing that she done was come to me because she knew it was wrong, and it made her uncomfortable straight away. So she never really got to experience it because as soon as it happened, she gave me the phone.
She was smart enough to give you the phone.
Yeah, she's smart enough. So for my daughter, it hasn't impacted her.
So you think?
Yeah, well,
surface level.
She knows that someone's done something wrong, but she also knows that she behaves properly. And the first thing I done was praise my daughter and say, I'm so proud of you. You know, you handled that so well. And, you know, a lot of children, they could have, you know, when we're young, we think, oh, like an older guy's trying to chat me up. Sometimes girls...
They get carried away.
We get carried away, and I'll be the first one to admit that. But she didn't, and she was smart about it, and she done the right thing. But for me, it's scrambled my brain completely, because I'm like, your children can't... I naturally actually speak out about stuff like this online a lot myself. So this isn't something new to me. I'm actively speaking out about paedophilia and grooming. So,
you say you're actively speaking about paedophilia. I'm going to read something that I made some notes on this because I wanted to. I'm not a professional in this subject matter, but I like to prepare myself as best as possible. And I found some key points that I wanted to say, and then I want to ask you something personally.
Yeah.
The title, Grooming. Pedophiles often use manipulative tactics to establish trust and emotional connections with children and their families. This process is known as grooming and is intended to lower the child's inhibition to increase the likelihood of sexual abuse. Yeah, that's one thing. Now, hold on.
Can I just butt in there?
Of course.
So after he had sent her those messages, he was then worried if I knew, probably.
And how do you know this?
Because he messaged me on Instagram after.
The guy's a sicko, and just for the record, I'm gonna snap out of this professionalism and say you should have fucking banged him in the face.
So he messaged me on Instagram.
Cool. Yeah.
And he then was like, he responded to one of my stories that I'd had up from the day.
Yeah, he's being manipulative.
And was trying to have just a general conversation. And I just acted like nothing at first because I wanted to see what he was up to. And I was like, oh, how have you been? Haven't spoken to you in a while, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Then he said, when are you going? At the end of the conversation, he went, when are you going to let me take you out? And I was just like, not happening. So he's very much manipulative, like you just said.
He's creative. Very creative. He's very creative. He's calculated. There's a lot of things that scream out from the sounds of him. I don't know him personally, but if I ever did meet him, I have a daughter and I'll put him 6 feet under. Now, you said that you've made this a thing to... Sorry, we have a dog barking. Chris, is that going to be an issue? Okay, cool. You said that you've liked to speak on these sensitive topics quite often. Is there something that, you know, have you been through things? And I know I have no right to ask this, but I just want to try and put a story to this because you've become a strong woman yourself. You stand for strength. Everything about you, from what I'm getting from you, your energy and how you positioned yourself is about strength. Has there ever been a moment of time where there has been a form of weakness that's made you the person you are now and even more defensive as a mama bear? If you mind me calling you that.
Yeah, I've had tough times. I grew up in a house of domestic violence my entire childhood. And in my older years, I've been a victim of rape. So
Sorry to hear about that. And in that case, have you felt? I mean, do you want to stop? Because we
no,
can.
it's fine. I'm open to speak about it. I mean, all of these things are stuff that's made me into the person I am today.
Okay,
I've never
cool.
actually ever spoke out publicly about being a victim of rape ever.
Okay, cool. So, in question of you going through such a situation, a hard ordeal, I hope that you've got the professional help.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and the person in question is serving time or has. Okay. We'll move on. I'm reading your face.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
It's a sticky one, yeah.
No, it's a sticky one. And sometimes it tends to be sticky ones because it's the closest people to us that tend to do some really fucked up shit shit. I'm stuttering. So I can understand, and the reason I'm asking you that, and I can clearly see that this has made you Xena. I call you the Xena warrior.
Yeah, I'm a strong girl.
You're a strong girl. And you have now become so vigilant, which I think every mum and dad should be. Because we live in times now where there are a lot of fucked up, crazy individuals. I've got to commend you. I've had some stick in my time for certain things. Nothing like this. And I think being sat in a situation like this is touching because it's almost like a false. It's not real until you've witnessed it, So now that you've, not okay. Let me word this properly. Now that you brought a light to this, what is your mission, especially with this individual? Like there's no right word and there's no wrong word about this. What is your objective? Like, what are you pushing for?
Probably mainly just to spread awareness. Obviously, I want him to pay for what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. When I put a post up on my Instagram, there were so many women that had commented and said, "Oh, he done the baby mother thing to me as well." This isn't a one-time thing.
So is he like? Would you call him a sexual predator
He's
and
a
a
sexual
pedophile?
predator, yeah.
And a pedophile.
I would say so, yeah. I would say he's definitely a predator. Yeah, I think he's definitely a danger to women and children. I think he has a mental issue. Like he's not well.
But do you know what? Yeah, and like I said, I've got to handle this carefully, right? Because mental health is real, and we live in. You know how people are. People are violent when it comes to comments. No one cares. They say what they say because they hide behind the keyboards.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors. People can say whatever they want. I know the truth.
No. I'm not coming at you. Yeah. What my point is. Whew. All right. Let me try and phrase this in a proper way. What have you done, correctly or incorrectly, to make sure that this situation is dealt with? Like, what are the procedures you have gone through?
So
apart from the Instagram.
Obviously, I've gone to the police.
Okay. How has that been? Now. You need to tell me about. Not you need to tell me. I would love to know the process because there are people out there.
The police are useless. I'm going to be honest. The phone only got downloaded last week. That's probably like 4 weeks after it's happened, that they've only just downloaded the stuff from the phone because they don't want you to send the screenshots. They take the phone away. They had her phone for like 3 days. They downloaded all the data, the encrypted stuff. I don't know how it works. I'm not tech savvy really. But they downloaded everything and they've given me the phone back. So now I'm waiting to see what they're going to go and do.
Has he been arrested? Has he been questioned? I'm
not too sure yet. I don't think he's been arrested. because they want to see what's on the phone first.
I think from what I've seen, there is enough
Yeah, of course
there
is, yeah.
to question anybody.
And I know that he's already been reported to the police for the online crimes that he was doing with his baby mum.
Which is what would they call something like that? Okay.
Online
sexual exploitation.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
That's the only thing that comes to mind, like sexual exploitation.
I don't really know the laws and all that, but I know it's been reported. I do. I know for sure.
Okay.
So he has a history of online sexual crimes, or I don't know if they're crimes, or just a history of stuff online.
Do you think, yeah, and this is just a question, in order to be like a groomer, yeah, I want you to not think like a groomer, but what do you, like, have you studied and tried to think what, like, how he has processed and the way he's maneuvered? Like, has there been a process where you've tried to, like, be like Sherlock Holmes and try and piece things together?
Yeah, so on the day that it happened, because I wanted to rule out any chance of it being someone else, because we have a mixture of friends that we all know.
Intertwine, yeah.
I spoke to my ex that I used to see, and I told him about the situation, and I said, get someone that you know that knows him to message him on that same Snapchat account and ask him something. And the boy messaged him and said, are you still selling your car? Because the week before he was selling his car.
Wow.
And he said, yeah. And they had a conversation about the car on the very exact day. Then, because I'd spoke to someone about it, I think somehow he might have found out about it, because I was asking people about it. I was asking someone that I thought was close to me. Not close to me, but I spoke to them. And I asked them something about him. And then the next day, he came out, he started posting stories on his Instagram that he'd been hacked. So I think maybe someone said that I was asking about him.
And he got wind.
And then he started making a story, or he got paranoid, one or the two, and put up a story on his WhatsApp story and his Instagram. Oh, guys, I got hacked, this, that, and the other. But that was after he'd had the conversation with someone I know, talking about his car. So and that was after he'd been speaking to my daughter.
So he's been clever enough to try and piece together.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay. So you said you met him through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
You've also mentioned the fact that he has tried and failed to ask you out as either a decoy or with true intention.
Or maybe tried to get close to my daughter.
Okay. What was the relationship like with your ex and him? Or your partner, your ex?
Yeah.
Like, what was their integration like?
I think they were like friends. I think they were like friends from like the same sort of area and stuff, but I don't think they were like best friends.
Because the reason I asked that is because
you have associates and
because I just don't understand. Well, not that I don't understand. I'm trying to understand and piece together how he was able to be introduced to yourself and your daughter.
So he wasn't introduced to my daughter. He'd never like physically met my daughter or anything. But he just seemed, how social media is.
Yes.
You'll have a page, Facebook, whatever.
And yeah, we do know how social media is, and there's questions.
Before you know it, you know bits about people's lives. So before the incident where he was like trying to send his baby mum's pictures, he was on my Instagram for a few years and nothing had happened. And I thought he was on the right person.
So he's been there for a while. It's not like a new...
Yeah, so it was only until he done the baby mom stuff that I thought he was a shady person. Before that, I thought he was a sound guy. Like, we used to... Sometimes he'd reply to my stories. How are you? How's your daughter?
So
how's Kaya?
This all comes to, like, online expectations.
He's seen my daughter probably... He's probably known of my daughter since she was probably about 3 years old.
He's been around that long?
He's been around that long.
Okay, so this is something I came to do with online exploitation. Yeah. The internet provides a platform for pedophiles to connect, share explicit material, engage in tongue-tied, doesn't matter. Fuck you. Connect and share explicit material and engage in illegal activities such as child pornography and grooming. Yeah. So when you mentioned that whole situation of he was sharing pictures of his now or current or previous or past wife and the children. Did you mention that? Did you say something like that?
No, he didn't do anything with his children. I said he has children.
He has children.
Yeah, he
Okay,
hasn't
cool.
done anything
No,
to
but then what I
I was just
confused
saying
it
I
with
was
is
concerned
because
that he had children at home.
Yeah, it was that I was confused with the fact that he sent a picture of your daughter at the age of 6 in an emoji. Okay, now there are groups that have gone around, right, and seen. I see them. We see them on Instagram. They go around trying to locate such men.
They're pedophile hunters, yeah.
Have such people reached out to you?
Yeah, I have had someone. But the thing is, where I went on Instagram with it, because I was so furious.
Understandably.
He probably knows now people are onto him, so...
So you don't have to bring up this person's name, but you know when I see these things sometimes on Instagram, I always have to question myself whether they're genuine or it's just for clickbait. The person that in question that contacted you, you know, you don't have to mention the name like I said before. What was kind of like the energy around that conversation? What was it?
No, it was good. It was good. They're quite well known online, and she wanted to help me.
So what do they do? Like, is it a situation where they kind of...
They just use a decoy and they try to, like what I done when I had the conversation with him, reel a conversation off and just draw someone out to do things they shouldn't be doing.
Because what I don't understand is how is it possible for these people to make the decoy and everything and literally present it? Because I've seen it. They make the decoy, they question this person, they end up cornering them, then it becomes a situation where they call police and then they give the police the evidence, right? Yeah. And that person normally gets charged, processed, and now is on I think it's a sexual offenders list.
Offenders register.
Yeah, there you go. So there's nothing different to what you've done because
it's the same sort of thing.
You've done everything for them. You've even done the due diligence of, you know, keeping all the evidence, which I'm sure has the IPI number and the pictures. A couple of pictures has his face in it, has his body, has distinctive features such as tattoos and markings.
Yeah, exactly, tattoos. Yeah.
So you can't escape that. There's no amount of hacking. You can hack unless we live in a technology age of AI and all that shit. But let's face it, you know, no robot's going to be doing such a thing.
Yeah.
All right. So moving forward now, in a situation of that sense, what do you feel you would want people to learn from this?
No, I just mainly want people to be aware of who he is.
I think that's not enough. I don't think that's enough. I think being aware of who he is doesn't do nothing. I'll be honest. I've been in situations where I've been accused of things that people, and that's if he's done something, he needs to be dealt with.
Of course, I would like for the police to deal with it appropriately. But like I said, the system isn't there, and the structure isn't there for paedophiles. You know that, don't you? Like the police will, if it's to do with the government money, they will jump on it. Paedophilia and stuff like that, it doesn't get a look in. So
would you say, this is not tapping into conspiracy, yeah? Would you say that there are people that the reason why it's not is that
they desensitize us to paedophilia every single day.
You believe so?
100%.
So you believe that the British government or whoever the authorities are, have a purpose. They don't protect children how they're meant to. They don't protect children. What do you think they can do to protect children? Like, what do you feel like these authorities, such as the social media platforms, such as, you know, as I said, the bodies, the schools, and so on and so forth, what can we do as parents, and you being the mother in question, what can we ask for them? What measures do you think can be put in place to protect our goods?
This runs so deep. Like, it runs deep with the schools. There's the content that they're teaching in schools. It's just a long line of stuff. When I say they're desensitizing us.
Do you think, like, also, because I'm not going to be controversial here, but do you think that we are exposing, you know, your daughter's 13, as you said, what have you done to, like, maybe tighten up security on your own accord? Because you think that the system has failed you, right?
My daughter, I'm very open with my daughter. If she goes into school and they're teaching her something that makes her uncomfortable, I've told her, you walk out the classroom. If it's content where they're teaching her stuff that is making her uncomfortable, you don't have to sit there and put up with it. That's the first thing. Second thing is online safety. I check my daughter's phone. I have apps and softwares on my daughter's phone. I'm very strict with what she does on her phone, you know. And like I said, she came to me straight away when something had come through. So I would say, as a mother, my daughter knows that she can speak to me about absolutely anything. And even if I was angry at the time, I wouldn't let her know I was angry at the time. I would deal with it accordingly, and then after say to her, you know what, maybe I didn't think that was the best thing for you to do, but at that time, I will just be the mother that she needs at that time.
The support.
Yeah, and I genuinely believe like I am a good mum. So
without question, and I want to kind of lead on to rounding this up, because I feel like we've done what we've needed to do.
Yeah.
In terms of help and support, not just from yourself.
Yeah.
Has she received any form of like one-to-ones, any coaching, any therapy, or anything of that matter?
No.
Although we think on the surface, maybe we don't see any forms of trauma or PTSD, or
if I do see those symptoms come up in the future, I will deal with that accordingly. But I think at this present moment, I don't believe she does.
Cool. No. And I respect that opinion and honesty. My only concern with that, and this is just talking from a father's perspective, I may be anything, but I'm also a father, and I'm not telling anybody how to do their job. I think because we are not trained in certain things, we may not be able to see the signs. We may think everything's okay, but we definitely can't see the signs. It's like, recently my one of my dogs died.
Yeah.
And fine, up until it was too late. And when it was too late, it was too late. Do you understand? Now, when I got to the vet, the first thing that they said to me is, how long has he been suffering? I said, I don't know, because he's been fine. They said, what gives you the signs? And I told him everything. He says, yeah, but dogs hide their feelings well. And that's a dog.
Yeah.
So as a human being, I'm not saying you're not doing you've done a fantastic job, and I commend you. I will applaud you, but it would mess up the mics, for doing such a great job. But the only thing I would say in this, and this is for you and for your daughter, is I feel like maybe it would be worth seeking some form. I mean, there's charities out there. There are individuals out there that can work with her. And I think you're in a position to do great things. I
possibly am. But I think, I also think as well, if you go into something with someone too much, it will open up a can of worms. You'll start talking about an incident that hasn't actually affected her, and then create a problem.
That's true.
Because she didn't speak to him. It was me that was speaking to him.
Okay.
So I don't think it's necessary right now.
Okay, that's true. I'm just giving a wide spectrum, and I respect what you're saying, because that is also actually very true. If she's not experienced something to that magnitude, who am I, or who are anyone to say any different? Yeah. You know your child. I'm sure you're very aware. Like exactly. And I've seen videos, and you have a beautiful relationship that most people like myself and others will aspire to have. And yeah, with that said, I thank you for coming and speaking on your situation. You've been a pleasure to learn from. This is a learning curve for many people, and that's why I would think you have come down here today. I pray and hope for healing. I'm not going to come on this whole biblical stuff, but I pray that everyone gets the right treatment and justice is served. As for the individual, there are loads of things that are screaming. It takes a madman to know a madman, and I'm definitely a madman. And I think there are some underlying issues that he's probably not even aware of.
No.
And we're not here playing his advocate. He has a voice of his own, and when it's time for him to do his thing, he will do it. But there are probably a lot of unsolved traumas in his own life that has created him.
He's definitely had something.
Exactly, to go and do a madness. So I'm not even going to say badness on him. There's no need. you on the other hand, you can do what you like.
I wish him
You
nothing but
understand?
darkness.
100%. But through his own journey, he will meet that.
Karma is gonna get him. So
I don't believe in karma.
I definitely believe in
we,
karma.
we believe in energy.
It
He's
might
gonna
come
get
around
that.
in a different
The
way.
energy you put out.
The karma is gonna get him.
Exactly. So with that said, I think I hope at some time we can look back at this and we can reflect.
100%.
And he gets what he gets coming. I hope you and wish you nothing but success, and also with your daughter. And I would like to think you would use this as an opportunity to set up a campaign, like I was discussing with you earlier on, and really stand on you and put your foot in the ground and build a momentum, because things do need to change.
We do need to make it harder, because especially with platforms
it's so
like
easy now.
Instagram, there's so much online pedophilia. You can actually go on Instagram and you can type in certain things and find pictures of children.
Really?
Accounts, yeah. And this is what I meant earlier by saying I was actively speaking out about pedophilia and stuff like that.
They'll probably shadow ban you.
And they do, yeah. And that was one of the main issues.
They shadow banned you?
They shadow banned me, and they threatened to close my account down. And just a whole list of stuff, yeah.
Why would they? What was the main triggers and stuff that they threatened to shadow ban you? What was it that you did?
So just speaking out, like just reposting certain
Was that TikTok?
pages? No, on Instagram. Just
about paedophilia.
Yeah, and for them to say that I was like doing bullying and being abusive and yeah.
Wow.
And saying hate speech and.
Is this classified as hate speech?
Well, some of the stuff, yeah, because there's other stuff that I speak out about.
Okay, we won't do that here.
Yeah, we won't do that here because it's going off topic. But
but I get you.
It all borders in with the same sort of things, and they do threaten to close me down. Yeah, instead of taking the dangerous pages down. But that's 2023 for us.
So what have they said on your latest post? You know, the one that you had recently. You know, have they said anything to you? Have you received any form of notifications?
Which one?
The one with the.
Oh, with him. No, they didn't. No one's reported it, which is good. So.
May woe betide. There's a saying that my mom says. May woe betide you. Whatever anyone that dislikes or does whatever to that picture, your whole life is going to become a problem. Yeah. And this is not hate speech. It's just about energy putting out there, because we're all trying to protect our loved ones and our family. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and with that said, guys, I think I need to go home and have a cold beer. Yeah, because it's quite chilling. All jokes aside, on a serious note, protect your kids.
Yeah, look after your babies.
Be militant. Protect your home with honor. Augusto, stoic, whatever the words that everybody's using nowadays. Be a giant in your land and fight for what you believe in, even if it costs you. I wouldn't say your life, because that made me be radicalizing. I'm not trying, but just protect your shit. And with that said, I'm out. You can find all active videos and audios on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. I'll soon be on Rumble, because certain things like this that'll get pulled off the YouTube will probably go on Rumble, because someone needs to hear it. Peace.